there are two common mistakes companies make when they start executing a content marketing strategy. Number one, I think, is treating content marketing as an event, not a process. And what do I mean by that? They will maybe put a bunch of resources together, put a team together to create a really great white paper that people will really want to consume. And maybe it's great. But maybe they're also, let's say you're a provider of HR services and HR software, and this is an article on containing healthcare benefits cost. Well, my goodness, ever since the Affordable Care Act, good luck getting on page one with a white paper on how to bend the cost curve, right? So standing out in the crowd is extremely difficult. So it may be a great white paper, and once someone's on your website, they may really be willing to fill out a form to download it. But chances are, people aren't going to find it in the first place. So the core business problem is further up the funnel. How do you drive traffic to your site in the first place? And this is where content marketing becomes a process, not an event. Because creating top of the funnel content is a drumbeat that can never stop. All of a sudden, you start having to behave an awful lot like a media company, like a newspaper or a magazine, because you can't just keep republishing the same article over and over and over again, hoping people will find you. You certainly can't email people the same article over and over again. You certainly can't tweet or Facebook post or LinkedIn post the same article over and over again. People are going to think you're a spammer and they're going to ignore you. They're going to opt out from anything you provide, right? So you need to continually be feeding your audience content that speaks to the high probability pains that they face that are not about you, they're about the business problems. And that means not 1 or 2 or 10 topics. This probably means dozens, eventually hundreds of topics. And so it's not hard to rally the troops, buy a pizza, order some Chinese, and get everybody in the conference room and crank out a white paper in an evening. You could do the guts of that and have something within a few days or a week. But to crank out, say, an article, a meaningful article that prospects want to consume, that Google will respect and people want to link to, 750 to 1,000 words, and do that 2 or 3 times a week, that's a concerted, dedicated, staffed, fully resourced process, not an event. And that's the only way you're going to draw traffic to your site in the first place, right? So you got to back up and ask yourself, what is the business problem I'm solving for? If you have 100,000 unique visitors to your site, but you're not converting any of them, then maybe the solution is, in fact, that one killer white paper that can now convert that traffic. But the reality is most companies don't have the eyeballs on their site in the first place, and you're going to need that drumbeat of top-of-funnel content to get them there in the first place. So probably the most common mistake companies make when starting to publish regular content, usually in a blog, is assigning this to their current employees. Now, I've made this exact same mistake myself, and we're a content marketing agency. The reality is most people are pretty darn busy with their current jobs, and not everybody is a good writer, and most importantly, not everyone is a good storyteller. And your prospects do not want to consume weak, crappy content. And Google not only will not reward you, they may punish you for too thin of content. And so it sounds intuitive, and here's an inexpensive way to solve the problem, right? So I have a handful of employees, and I say, each of you, 4 employees, you write 1 article per month each, and voila, I have a weekly blog. I cannot tell you the number of companies that we currently do business with who started with that exact same strategy, and it just fails. And it fails for all the reasons we've discussed. They're not talented writers. They have day jobs. They're not great storytellers. The reality is, writing good quality content that your prospects will want to consume and Google will reward is hard. And therefore, it needs to be staffed and resourced in a very dedicated way, because creating top of funnel content is a never ending process. It's not an event.